Hello to everyone from St. Mark's who's watching this video talking about landscaping and gardening at St. Mark's. And it's Earth Day today, and good thing I wore this shirt. Earth Day, we need to take care of our campus here at St. Mark's, and we could start off whenever you're free and with social distancing. You can come and volunteer and help out around church. There's lots of weeds in different areas around campus, and this is the picnic tables by Grace Cafe. And I'm going to show you some weeding. I also want to show you a few things that you can bring, and one of them is cardboard. Bring your cardboard from home. It can be used to help prevent weeds from growing. After you do the weeding, you apply the cardboard on top of the dirt, and then apply some wood chips that are in the back corner by Grace Cafe. There's a big pile of wood chips to put over the cardboard. This area by the picnic tables has decomposed granite underneath all these thick weeds. And you can see there's an area back here. Chris Parsons removed the weeds in this patch right here, and this is what it would look like if we didn't have all the weeds growing. And it has like a real kind of dry gravel. And this is some extra decomposed granite here. And after we do clear off all the weeds in this large area, we could spread this decomposed granite on top. There's wood chips around this tree here that was planted I think at 2016, the same time as the new landscaping was put in on the east side of the sanctuary. And it's growing well, but this one has to be hand watered. We have no irrigation system in this little section. And I did water it, and it's doing well. And there's wood chips. We could add a few more wood chips around the base of this tree, and any other trees around the campus could use wood chips around, like around about this big around each tree would be really nice. This tree over here is a red bud tree. It has beautiful pink flowers. You can see just a little traces of those from the springtime. And I did soak this with water a few days ago, and this grass should kind of pull up a little easier because I pre-soaked it. And then you kind of pull the weed up, get the roots, and then just shake off the dirt like that. And then this area around this tree, it has a wooden box around it, and all the grass could be pulled out. And there's old mulch here, but you could just put cardboard over that and then put new mulch around it. Here's a weed that I really think we should try to eliminate as quick as possible. It pulls up pretty good. You kind of just try to pull it up. And it has all these little seeds, these burrs on it, and the seeds are still attached to the plant. So make sure that this all goes into a green waste container, not just on the ground, because then all these new weeds will grow up next year. So either put it in a plastic bag and in the container here, or better yet, if you have a box or a big bucket, to take the green waste home and put it in your own green waste at home. Then St. Mark's won't have so much green waste here. This area is very large, you can kind of see, and it's got some tall weeds. So it's been a while since it's been taken care of. So if we have several people who work on this a little bit at a time, it will get all done. Yeah, here's some tall weeds. This is the lawn area next to the playground, and it was mowed nicely by a church member, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, and before that it was pretty tall because we don't have yard service with the lawn and the blowing that had been done previously because the school next to church, the DDSO, is now closed. And so luckily we have a few church members who've been volunteering to mow the lawn, and we'll try to keep this all mowed and it's nice and green. That's good. There's several weeds in here, and we're going to try to put on a fertilizer that's a weed and feed that will kind of help the grass be stronger and the weeds not quite as strong. And then around these trees here, if you use a weed whacker, you have to be really careful not to damage the bark. And so you want to pull the grass up, and you can use this weeder to kind of get the roots out. There, get a little chunk of the roots and then kind of knock the dirt off. Put it in your green waste, and then if like a nice area around each tree would be great. I did water this one and that tree over there this last week, and so it pulled up pretty nicely, but we might have to do some soaking. There's a hose over there right near the vegetable garden, and that makes it weeds easier to pull up. Also in the playground over here, there's a few weeds that have come in, and there's not very many, but they pull up nicely, and you just kind of hit the wood chips off, the playground chips. And there's a few weeds over back here that would be great to be pulled out. We do need more of the wood chips eventually for the playground, but for now we want to just get these weeds out. Hi, there's an area right in front of the vegetable garden here with the white picket fence, and this probably could be mowed or use the weed whacker to knock down some of these weeds here, or pull them out by hand or with a hoe. And back here in the garden, we have some pea pods that could be harvested. We've been enjoying them for several months. Adrian and I and other people have been doing some harvesting, and there's some to pick, so feel free to take a bunch home because there's still quite a bit to harvest here. Back here I did some weeding, and I put in the cardboard down here, and then you can see the wood chips on top of the cardboard, and it goes all the way around these beds. Here's some fresh mint. It's delicious. It's really good. Adrian bought this and planted it here. And feel free to take some cuttings of mint. It adds a lot of flavor to your food. And there's a little bit of kale here, and you feel free to take some kale. We'll probably be planting some maybe green beans in here. We had green beans last year. Adrian planted 3 strawberries over there. I planted some broccoli over there. It didn't really produce much, but we're learning. And there's a lot of weeds here to be pulled out all around the beds. This is the area just south of the office building here, administrative building. And this is a silver maple. And all these little parts here could be cut off that are next to the trunk. These little suckers, and then everything down here could be trimmed back to the trunk. This bush was trimmed back last year, and it looks really nice now right behind Alan's office. And there's weeds all along that area right behind in the back door here to be pulled out. And somebody's mowed this, and it's much better because they did mow it, but it'll probably need to be mowed again. This is an apple tree. Oh, here's some apple blossoms. This tree, it would be really good to pull out all these weeds and grass around it, like that area, and then put the cardboard and the mulch on top. This is an olive tree here, and a fig tree back there. And there's a lot of figs on that tree, so somebody should come and pick them. I don't think they're ripe yet, but they probably will be ripe in maybe a month or two. And there's some grapevine there. I've never seen any grapes on those grapevines. So these are African Iris, or Fortnight lily is another name for them. And they're blooming right now, so it's so nice to see the flowers. They have some dry parts like this that can just be clipped off and it will look a lot cleaner, just to clean them up. And then here closely, you can see where the flowers have left a little seed pod here. What you want to do is just break that seed pod off, and then we'll get a new flower right from that spot. So wherever you see a seed pod, this one's done blooming now, just break that off. And somebody did break off a lot of these in the past, and that's why we're having a lot more flowers. So just kind of trimming this area. And this is right in front of the sanctuary. And over here are some Freesia. They smell great, and these are done blooming, some of them. Now you just kind of cut the parts that have already finished blooming away, and you'll see the flowers here. They're very nice. The kids in Sunday school planted these this spring. There's some here, some over there, and some on the other bed too. Here's a nut grass, which is a type of weed, and it has like a little nut on the bottom. And just pulling these out would be great. Sometimes you can get that little nut thing to come out with the roots. Oh, are you still going?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then I wanted to tell you something over here. This is a rose that came from the roses over there. It's called Magic Carpet, and if you ever want to plant a rose, it's very easy. This is a great one, Magic Carpet, and it sends little roots out, and it's very low maintenance. This is a little lavender plant that is, I started just by sticking some lavender in a pot of dirt from the East Side Landscaping, and it's growing fine in there. So be careful if you're doing weeding that you wouldn't want to accidentally pull something like that out. I just wanted to show you this beautiful iris and roses here, and I guess most of these roses are still blooming. There's some roses by what's called the peace pole over here. I'll show you how you can trim the flowers. They call it deadheading, or the flowers that are done blooming. But these, you don't need to do anything now. They're beautiful. I guess the iris could take off some of those to make it looks better like that. That one, old flower. And there's more of the Freesia over here, and iris. You can see the iris are so pretty right now. I don't know, I hope everybody knows about this pole that's here. It's May Peace Prevail on Earth. And it's Earth Day today too, so it's nice to see this peace pole. Bob and Dory Moon, they have, this is in honor of them, and there are 2 rose bushes. This one was planted when Bob passed away, and this one over, this beautiful dark pink one, after Dory passed away. And I'm so glad that they're both doing well. And this is a rose that I'll kind of show you how you just, if it's already done blooming, you cut it back. Just, well, it's kind of hard to see, but you might want to show them this, Neil. You can see where there's new growth. It's going to come out right from there, and probably cut it about right like that, and that's where the new growth is going to come, and another rose flower. This is a bright yellow privet. It doesn't bloom at all, and it's really pretty low maintenance except a little bit of trimming. And so when there's some high pieces, you just kind of trim those back so it stays a little bit more even and not too tall. So something like that, you don't have to bend over at all, just a few branches to trim. Hello again. This is area on the east side, right by the choir room, and the pathway here. There's a few weeds that need to be pulled out, and these have little seeds on them. So these are weeds right in here, and then anything on the path is a weed. And this is a type of geranium. It's such a beautiful plant and very low maintenance. I really recommend it. It's a type of geranium. And this plant, I can't remember the name of it, but I do have a little bit more from this, and we got it free from our person who did the design for this landscaping, Roberta Walker. She's friends of Russ Burgess, and anyway, I have more of this to plant, so sometime if you want to help with planting, that's another fun thing about gardening, is putting in some new plants and a few. Okay, this is called a butterfly bush, and it looks nice if you kind of clean it up by taking off this old flowers from last year. So just getting a little pruner, and it's okay if you prune some of these. If you stick these in dirt in a pot, it's possible it will grow and you can get a new butterfly bush for free. Just stick this in dirt, keep it watered. But yeah, it just looks so much nicer to have it cleaned up by trimming away the dead parts, and you don't have to bend over. Just bring your clippers when you come to church, and a container to put all this stuff in. And if you want to start new plants, feel free to put that in dirt and keep it moist. A lot of flowers to enjoy over here on the east side of the sanctuary. This is called Snow and Summer. And that's the Siberian Iris over there with the purple flowers. And these are red maple trees along here. This is a type of manzanita. That's a ground cover. And look at all the pretty flowers over here. On the corner, there's some iris and some weeds too. This area needs a fair amount of weeding. There's all these weeds around here. And when you do weed this area, just kind of pull away this nice mulch and then keep the green waste in your container, just like that. And with all these seeds in your container to go in the green waste. There's a lot of really pretty iris blooming, and there's weeds all along in here that need to be pulled out. Oh, this one's going to seed. That one is I think it's called a Mexican something. It looks really pretty, but it will take over. So you need to just try to remove it. They don't sell it anymore at nurseries. They used to sell it, but it's just too invasive, and we don't want it growing here. So it will just take over. This area here on the corner has gotten overgrown, and it's just these things, you just cut them down, cut them back a ways. It will grow back nicely. And just to remove them and try to get them away from the sidewalk and all this grass that's going to seed here. We want to try to get all that up. And luckily it's pulling out pretty nicely.